Welcome back to Car Show 1, the place where we dive deep into the most iconic cars ever made, the machines that defined eras, and the vehicles that left their mark on automotive history. Today, we're taking a ride back to the early 70s, to a time when muscle cars ruled the streets, and American manufacturers weren't afraid to experiment with bold ideas. Our focus is on a vehicle that blurred the line between car and truck, a machine that gave drivers muscle car power with pickup truck practicality. This is the 1972 Ford Ranchero, a car that wasn't just about performance but also about redefining what utility could look like on the open road. The Ford Ranchero was first introduced in 1957, years before Chevrolet responded with its El Camino. It was Ford's bold move to combine a passenger car chassis with a pickup bed, creating something fresh for drivers who wanted a vehicle that could be practical for work but still stylish enough for cruising Main Street. By 1972, the Ranchero had gone through several transformations, and this model year sat at an important point in its history. It was big, bold, and unmistakably American, reflecting the design language of the early 70s while carrying the soul of the muscle car era. The 1972 Ranchero shared its platform with the Ford Torino, and that's exactly what made it so appealing. It wasn't just a utility vehicle, it was a Torino with a truck bed, and that meant it carried much of the Torino's styling, engines, and performance options. The design was striking for the time. The front end featured the wide, horizontal grille and quad headlights that made the Torino stand out, giving the Ranchero an aggressive, almost intimidating presence on the road. The long hood and sweeping body lines gave it the proportions of a muscle car, but the rear bed reminded you that this car could haul lumber, tools, or even motorcycles without breaking a sweat. At a glance, the Ranchero looked like a contradiction. Was it a truck? Was it a car? In truth, it was both, and that's what made it unique. In an era where American consumers loved the idea of multi-purpose vehicles, the Ranchero gave drivers the best of both worlds. You could drive it to work, haul equipment, and then show up at the drive-in on Friday night with a vehicle that looked as cool as any Mustang or Torino on the lot. The 1972 model year also introduced a new body design. The Ranchero was now longer, wider, and heavier, reflecting the growing size of American cars at the time. It sat on a wheelbase of 117 inches, which gave it a planted stance and lots of cabin space. The styling was more angular, with pronounced fender lines and a powerful, muscular look that matched its performance potential. Buyers could also choose from several trim levels, from the base Ranchero 500 to the luxurious Ranchero Squire, which featured simulated woodgrain paneling on the sides, giving it a distinctive look that's now a favorite among collectors. Under the hood, the 1972 Ford Ranchero was just as versatile as its design. Buyers had a range of engines to choose from, starting with a modest 250 cubic inch inline-six for those who cared more about economy than performance. But for muscle car fans, the real fun came with the V8 options. You could spec the Ranchero with a 302, 351 Cleveland, or even a massive 429 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 that delivered serious horsepower and torque. These engines gave the Ranchero the kind of performance that rivaled pure muscle cars of the day, making it one of the most powerful car-based trucks ever built. With the right engine, the Ranchero wasn't just capable, it was thrilling. Imagine a pickup-like vehicle that could blast from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, all while carrying a load of gear in the bed. That was the magic of the Ranchero. The suspension and chassis tuning made it handle more like a car than a truck, which meant drivers could enjoy the curves of a back road while still having utility when needed. The combination of power and practicality made it especially popular among younger buyers who didn't want to compromise. Inside, the 1972 Ranchero reflected the era's design cues, with a cabin that blended Torino comfort with straightforward functionality. Bench seats came standard, but higher trims offered bucket seats and a center console for a sportier feel. The dashboard was wide and clean, with simple gauges that were easy to read. While the interior wasn't luxurious by modern standards, it had a charm that mixed practicality with 70s style. Chrome accents, wood grain trim in certain models, and bold upholstery colors made every Ranchero unique. One of the most interesting things about the Ranchero was how customizable it was. Buyers could outfit it as a workhorse with basic features, or they could load it up with performance and luxury options to create a vehicle that rivaled high-end muscle cars. The Ranchero GT, for instance, came with performance suspension, sporty stripes, and upgraded engines, making it the choice for drivers who wanted something a little wilder. Meanwhile, the Squire appealed to families and style-conscious buyers who wanted something different from the typical pickup truck. The 1972 Ranchero arrived at an important time in American history. The muscle car era was still alive, but the oil crisis and tighter emissions regulations were just around the corner. The Ranchero embodied that final wave of big, powerful American cars that combined size, style, and performance without compromise. For many, it represented freedom, the ability to have one vehicle that could do it all. It was part of a cultural moment when cars weren't just transportation but also a statement of identity. Today, the 1972 Ford Ranchero holds a special place in automotive history. It may not be as universally recognized as the Mustang or Camaro, but among enthusiasts, it's celebrated as one of the coolest and most unique vehicles of its time. Collectors love it because it represents a perfect blend of utility and muscle. Restored examples, especially those with big block V8 engines and rare trims, command strong prices at auctions and classic car shows. For many, the Ranchero is more than just a car, it's a memory of the 70s, of simpler times, and of a vehicle that refused to fit into just one category. Driving a 1972 Ranchero today is a reminder of what makes classic cars so special. The roar of a V8, the feel of a long hood stretching out ahead of you, and the sense of presence that comes from sitting in something with so much character, it's an experience that modern vehicles, with all their technology and refinement, simply can't replicate. The Ranchero was raw, honest, and full of personality. It asked drivers to pay attention, to engage, and to enjoy the road in a way that few vehicles today demand. The legacy of the Ranchero continues to influence the automotive world. While Ford eventually ended production of the Ranchero in the late 1970s, the idea of blending car-like comfort with truck-like utility lived on. Today, crossover SUVs and lifestyle vehicles owe part of their DNA to innovations like the Ranchero. It was ahead of its time in showing that people wanted vehicles that could be both fun and functional. Looking back at the 1972 Ford Ranchero, it's easy to see why it still resonates with enthusiasts. It's bold, different, and full of character. It wasn't afraid to break the mold, and it delivered on its promise of combining muscle car excitement with everyday practicality. For those who own one, today, it's not just a classic car, it's a piece of history, a conversation starter, and a reminder of when automakers were willing to take risks and create something truly unique. So the next time you see a 1972 Ford Ranchero at a car show or cruising down the street, take a moment to appreciate what it represents. It's not just a car with a bed, and it's not just a truck with a stylish front end. It's a symbol of innovation, of muscle car culture, and of the freedom that defined the American automotive scene in the early 70s. Thank you for joining us here on Car Show 1 as we explored the 1972 Ford Ranchero, one of the most unique and fascinating vehicles of its time. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our deep dives into classic and modern cars alike. Until next time, keep your engines roaring and your passion for cars alive.